Hi everyone. I know the other day I threw a lot at you during the presentation, so I figured I would make a video sort of going through step by step what we did at the last meeting, along with some other training videos to help in making materials, sharing, uploading, etc. So in this video, I just want to focus on making a worksheet in Google Slides. I'm going to go through step by step and show you the different tools, hotkeys, etc. that I'll be using when creating a worksheet. So here I have a sample worksheet that is like the one we made the other day. To help solidify kind of what we did that other day, I figured I would make another one of these just to really hone in on those tools. So we're going to start by going to Google Slides. We're going to open a new tab here. Now we have a few different ways we can do this. There might be an option right here to click on it. We can click on the 9 dots up here, which is the Google Apps, and just clicking on Slides, or by going to the top of our browser in the address bar and just typing in slides.google.com and hitting enter. So now that we're into Google Slides, we're going to make a new blank presentation, just clicking right here. And in this blank presentation, we're going to start by changing the aspect ratio or layout of the page. With worksheets, we typically are working with standard letter size paper. So I'm going to go and click on File into the top left here and go down to the bottom of that drop-down menu. We're going to click on Page Setup. Now, when we're in the Page Setup menu, we're going to go click, open that drop-down menu, and we're going to click Custom. Here, we'll type in our paper size, which is for a standard letter size paper, it's going to be 8.5 by 11 inches. And now this could change depending on if you want a horizontal sheet or if you're using other paper sizes, but most typically we'll set it to 8.5 by 11. And we're just going to hit apply. And there we go. So now that our paper size is set, we want to make the page blank. We're going to do this by clicking and holding outside of the page somewhere around here. And while still holding down the left click, I'm just going to drag over all of the components on the page like this. And we're going to let go, and this should select everything on screen. Now with everything selected, we're just going to hit the backspace button to delete it. Okay, with everything deleted, now we can begin setting up our page. I usually start with inserting a place for students to write their names. I know for many of you, students won't necessarily be handing in any of these, but I always find it helpful for them to write their names and to get used to signing things, and for some of the lower level students, just keep writing out letters. So to do this, we're going to first insert a text box. We'll do this by navigating up to the top toolbar here. Look for a text box icon, which is this T with the square. We're going to click on that. And then we're going to click onto our workspace here. And that should create a text box. So with the text box created, I'm just going to type in name, colon, and we're going to create a line for the students to write on. The line isn't always necessary. It's more of a personal preference. But if we want to do that, we're just going to look for the hyphen key next to the 0, hold down Shift, and while that's held down, we're just going to keep typing out, and there we go. You'll notice that the text right now is a little bit light. I usually want my text to be black for easier readability. So we're going to highlight the text by clicking into our text box like this, then clicking and dragging from the right side and highlighting everything. Then I'll navigate to the top toolbar and find my text color icon, which is the A with the underline, and just click on that. And we're going to click black. Once we have the name text box, we're just going to move that to the top of our worksheet. To do this, we're going to hover over our text box edges until a line with a cross with 4 arrows appears like this. When we see that, we're going to click and hold to drag our text box around like this. And we're just going to bring that up to the top left here, and then let go when you have a good spot you want to put it. So the next thing we're going to do is create the title of our worksheet. So once again, we're going to click on our text box icon in the top toolbar right here and click again on our workspace. Here we're going to type in the name of our worksheet, which this one's going to be Farm Animals, just like the other one. Once our name is typed, I'm going to want to change the font type, increase the font size of our title, and center it to make it a little bit more pleasing to the eye. So the first thing I'm going to do is center our text. To do this, I'm going to highlight my text again, clicking on the right side and dragging over to the left. And next I'm going to go up to my toolbar and I'm going to look for my align icon, which is this right here. Click on that and we're going to go down and we're going to look for the center icon on the top row of the dropdown, and that will center our text. Now I'm going to change the font style. With our font highlighted still, I'm going to navigate to the font name, which is next to the font size numbers in our toolbar up here. Yours will probably say Arial, just like mine. That's usually the standard. Here, I like choosing a font that is a little bit more fun than Arial, but still easy to read. I want to emphasize here the importance of font choice and color that I didn't really get to do in our in-person session. Font type and color are extremely important, especially for our English language learners, as they're still working on reading comprehension. Along with this, we also may have students with disabilities who have trouble processing certain bright colors or strange fonts. So with this in mind, I usually stick with a couple different fonts. Arial and Lexend are kind of my go-to fonts, as they offer the easiest readability. So for our title here, I'm going to go under the Lexend drop-down menu and we're going to select bold. Now you can use whatever style suits you, but this is my go-to for titling worksheets. So now that we have our font change, now we're going to change the size, change the color, and move it into a good spot. To change our font size, we're going to highlight our text once again. Mine's already highlighted, but if it's not for you, just go over to the right, click and drag. Once highlighted, I'm going to navigate up to the toolbar and look for our font size, which is up here next to the name that we already just changed. And we're going to keep enhancing it until that looks pretty good. All right, so now it's large enough. We're going to keep our text highlighted and I'm going to navigate to the font color icon, which is that underlined A again. Clicking on this, we have a bunch of colors to choose from. Just like our text type being important for readability, so is our choice of color. I know that some of us want to pick something funky and fun like neon green or purple. However, we do have to keep in mind the ease of readability for our students and something that will be easy on the eyes. With this in mind, I usually go with something in the darker or more muted range along the bottom here. So for this one, I'm going to choose this dark red. And finally, we're going to move our title to where we want it to sit for the actual worksheet. So obviously this can change as we go along when adding materials beneath to kind of resize things. But for now, we're going to click and hold where that 4 arrow crosses. And we're going to move it around. We're going to drag it towards the center of the page. Here we're going to look for this red line that runs up and down the center of the page. When we see that red line, that means our text box is centered with the page. As we add more to our worksheet, I'm going to go over these indicators a little bit more. So we're going to put that right here. And then we have a title in place. So now we're going to move on to creating the actual content for our worksheet. In this one, just like we made in class, I'm going to create a word bank with the names of the 4 animals in it. I'll add a text box with directions for the sheet, and I'm also going to be adding images for students to match with the words in the bank and answer lines for them to write on. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a text box for our directions. I'm going to navigate up to the toolbar and look for the text box icon again, which is this T. I'm going to click on that and then click into the workspace. And now we have our text box. So now I'm going to type in my directions for the worksheet. So I'll just put directions, match the word from the box to its picture. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing with this text box and change the color to black by highlighting like this and changing it to black using the text color tool again. And now I can align this text box with the name by clicking and holding with those 4 corners again. And we're going to look for that red line, but now we're going to look for a different red line. One that not centers with the whole page, but we'll see is going to center with the name text box like this. So we'll look for that smaller line right there. And just find a good spot for those directions. You usually have it right about here underneath the name of the worksheet. So the next thing I'm going to do is create our word bank. To do this, I'm going to navigate up to the shape icon in our toolbar, which is this one. It has a small circle and a square overlapping each other. I'll click that, and a drop-down menu is going to appear. Next, I'll navigate under the Shapes menu, and here I can see a whole array of shapes we can use to create our word bank. I usually go with the rounded rectangle, as it's the smoothest and feels the least obtrusive to the eye. Again, the whole purpose of the worksheet is for students to be able to focus solely on the content and not really trying to decipher the presentation of the content. So once I have that shape selected, our cursor is going to turn into that cross again, like with our text box. And when we see that, we'll be able to create our shape by left clicking and holding and dragging out, just like this. And then when we have a good shape, we're just going to let go like this. If our shape doesn't turn out to be the exact size that we want, we can change the size of the shape and using these small box icons on the outside here. We can change the height of the shape by clicking these top or bottom ones and dragging like this, or we could change the width by clicking the side ones like this. But if we want to change this, the whole overall shape, which most of the time is what I use, we'll just use these corner boxes like this, and that'll kind of adjust both the width and the height. So now that our word bank shape is made, you'll notice that it has this kind of gray background to it. So to either change it or get rid of it completely, we're going to first select our shape. If it's not selected already, you can just click on it like this. Next, we'll navigate up to the paint bucket in our toolbar. This is our fill color. Click on it and you'll see a lot of color options. Remembering readability, I usually go with the transparent option at the bottom. This will take out that color completely and reveal any color, text, or image behind it. Or you could select white if you're usually working with a white worksheet. Lastly, we're going to align our shape to the center of the screen like we did with the title. First, we're going to look for this cross here again, make sure that we can move it. Clicking and holding, we're going to drag until we see that red center line again. And then when it's in a place that we think is good, we'll just let go. I'll move it down a little bit more. There we go. With that done, now we can start inserting our words for the word bank. I'm going to pick 4 animals like we did for the other one for this exercise. First, we're going to start by clicking on our text box icon again, and then click into the workspace to insert it. Let's click right here for now. And we'll type in the first animal name, which is going to be cow. Now we can do things like change the size, color, etc. if we wanted to. I like the size of the font right now, but I will change the color. So I'm going to highlight the text again, clicking on the right and dragging. Then we're going to go up to text color, and then we're just going to click on black. Now with that, we can move our text box around just like other shapes and text boxes, looking for that cross again on the edges. Click and hold, and I'll drag it around, and I'll move it right up here for now. That's a pretty good spot. Now I also want to resize my text box so it isn't as long as it is right now, kind of covering up most of the shape at the moment. So I'm going to do this by clicking on this right side here and just kind of dragging in towards our word. And that's pretty good. Now we could just keep creating text boxes like we have been before by going up here, clicking it, typing it in, changing it. But if I want all my words in the bank to be the same size, font, color, etc., there is an easier way to do this. So to do this, all we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our text box is selected. Make sure that it doesn't have the type icon like this selected. Make sure that it's just the shape, or else this won't work. So once we make sure that the text box is selected, we can copy and paste it in one of 2 ways. The first way is to right click on the edge where that cross shows up and click copy. and then right-clicking somewhere else in our workspace and clicking paste. Or the other way, which I find to be a little bit easier once you get the hang of it, and it makes things a lot quicker later on, is to select our text box again, and then we're going to go click Control C at the same time, and this should copy our text box. Then when we want to paste, all we have to do is press Control V at the same time. This copy and paste function isn't only limited to Google Slides, but works on your computer in general. So next time you want to copy and paste text, that's one quicker way to do it. Okay, so now that we have our text box pasted, we're going to replace our text with our next animal, and that is going to be chicken for me. And now we're going to move this text box using the 4 arrows again. We're going to want to look for that little red line like we saw earlier, and it's going to align us with that cow text box, just like this. And we'll place it right there. So now that those are lined up together, we're going to paste our cow text box 2 more times by clicking Control V twice. I'm going to go ahead and then move this first pasted text box right over here, where I'm going to look for another red indicator to line up with the first cow. This time, however, we're going to look for a horizontal red line like this. And once we find a good place for that, we're just going to let go. And we're just going to do the same thing one more time with this last text box here, making sure to find the red indicators. And here we're going to look for 2 of them that line up perpendicular with one another, both the cow and the chicken above and to the left. Finally, I'm just going to change the text of my last 2 animals. This one's going to be horse, and this one will be pig. All right, with those done, it's time to move on to inserting our images. There's several ways to insert an image, but I'll show you the 3 most common right now. First, we can insert an image directly from Google Images. To do this, we're going to navigate to the Insert menu on the top here. Click. We're going to look for Image on top here. A drop-down menu will appear, and from here, we'll click Search the Web. From here, a tab's going to open on the right where we search for images straight from Google Images. In the search bar, I'll put one of our animals, which I'll do horse. I'm going to hit enter, and a bunch of pictures will come up. Find one that looks good. Let's see. These ones are pretty good. Yeah, we'll do this one for now. Click on that, and we're going to hit insert at the bottom right. And now it's in our document. The next way that we can get an image is, say, we have something already on our computer that we scanned in or saved from earlier, and we want to insert it now. We can add that by going back to the Insert menu, selecting Image, and clicking Upload from Computer. Here, our computer's drive will open, and we can search for our image. Mine's going to be in my downloads. We can just double click the image, and we'll automatically insert like this. The third way that we can do this is by finding an image on Google Images or some other image site in a new tab. So I'll start by going to the new tab up top and typing in whatever image that I want in the address bar. For this example, I'm just going to search for pig, hit enter, and then navigate to images. Now we'll look for one that we want. This guy looks pretty good. Click on that. A preview screen will pop up on the right-hand side of the screen with our picture that we selected. If we like it, we'll right-click on the image and click Copy Image. And now we can go back to our Slides tab and right-click in our workspace and click Paste. So now we have our images. Now we'll want them to all be the same size and align with one another to make it look nice and presentable. We're going to start this by clicking on our first picture of the horse here. When we click on the image, this box should appear around it with the 8 small squares. By clicking and dragging with these small squares, we're able to manipulate the image. If we wanted to stretch out the image lengthwise, I could click and drag the top or bottom squares like this and kind of stretch out the image. Or if we want to do it widthwise, we just do the same thing with the left or right. However, if we don't want to alter the image, we're going to grab one of the boxes in the corners and we can resize the image to however big or small that we want it. I'll do something like that. And now we can click and drag and move it just like we did with the other things by looking for that 4 squares and just putting it into the place that we'd like it. So now I'm going to repeat these steps for each one of our pictures. So again, on our cow here, I'm going to click on it. I'm going to resize using the boxes in the corners. And while I'm resizing this second image, I'm going to keep my eyes open for some indicator lines that tell me that the image of the cow is the same size as the one that we just did with the horse. So while I'm making the cow smaller, you'll notice the blue indicator lines that will show up when the widths of each image align. Just like this. And we'll just let go once those lines line up. And now I'm just going to move that picture underneath the horse image and look out for a second indicator line that tells me that they're centered. Just like this. And we'll let go. Now I'm going to follow these same steps with the pig image. Again, I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to make it smaller. We're going to look for those blue indicator lines. Lines up with those other images. And now when I move this one, I'm going to try to center it again. And I'm going to look for a second set of indicator lines as well. These little blue ones that are going to show up on the right here. When 3 or more images are aligned with one another, it will indicate that the spacing is equal. And this makes our page setup extremely clean and organized. So I'll let go of that one right there. And lastly, I'm just going to implement all these steps we just learned about adding and moving images into inputting the last picture of our chicken. So for this one, I'm just going to click Insert Image. I'll do Search to the Web for this one. We'll put in chicken, hit Enter. Find a good picture. This one looks fine. And we'll hit Insert. There we are. We're going to do the same thing for this one that we did with the others. Change the size. Look for those blue indicator lines again. Make sure that we're getting the same width so that they line up nicely. There we are. I'm going to move it and center it. Make sure the spacing is correct with those blue indicators and the red line showing us the middle. Like so. All right. And with our final image now in place, we can now move on to creating the answer lines for our worksheet. I'm going to do this by first inserting a line using the line tool up in our toolbar. By clicking on that, my cursor will turn into that plus sign again, indicating that we can now draw out our line. To make clean straight lines, we can hold down our Shift key while holding that key down, while holding our click down, and click and drag to create our straight line. The Shift key keeps it from veering off in either direction, like if we created a line without holding it down. I can kind of demonstrate the difference right now for us. So without Shift, you can kind of move it anywhere, and it's a little hard to get it to be exactly straight. But with Shift, that just snaps right into place perfectly there. So using the Shift click line, I'll draw out our first line next to the horse here and let go. Now, if we didn't draw our line in the greatest place and we wanted to move it into a better spot, we can look for those 4 arrows there, click and drag, click and hold, and then drag it to wherever we need it to be. And again, a red indicator line will show up when we're in line with the bottom of our picture here, which helps us clean up very nicely. And with that line in place, I'm also going to change the thickness of it to make it a little bit easier to see. With that line selected, I'm going to navigate my way to the toolbar and click on the line weight icon. When clicked, I'll go down and I'm going to pick the 2 pixels selection here. That makes it a little bit thicker, and I think it looks a little bit better. Lastly, we can also change the color of the line if we wanted to make it a little bit darker. Right now it's that kind of grayish color. So just select it one more time, go up to our line color icon, which is this pencil with the line underneath. And I'm just gonna click on that and click on black. So now I'm gonna create my other lines for the other answers. I could go and create others using the same method we just used. However, there is an easier way to get all the lines exactly the same length, width, and color. And that is with the copy and paste method that we used earlier with the words. So if we remember, we can do this a few different ways. One is to right click on our line and then click copy, right click somewhere else and click paste. However, I'm going to use the hotkeys for mine by first clicking on the line, then clicking Control and C, then releasing, and then clicking Control and V, like that. This will display another line of the same length. Using our indicator lines, we're going to look out for the red lines that will let us know that we are both in line with our next picture and our last line, just like this. And now we can repeat the same process for the next two lines. Because my first line is already in my clipboard, all I need to do is for the next two is to just hit paste twice. So for this one, I'm just going to hold down the control button and press V 2 more times. And with that, 2 lines are created and I'll move them into place. Again, looking for those red indicator lines, lining up both with the ones above us and with the picture on our left. Just like that. And we'll do it one more time, just like this. And there we are. Our worksheet is created. All right. So there are a few different things that you can do with this worksheet now that it's done. You can go up to File here and print it out for your students by just locating the print option down at the bottom. And we can also share it to a Google site, which is something that I'm going to show in another video that's going to show how to add this and other things with a lot of other Google Sites tips. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or look back through the video. Each step should be separated into sections within the video for easier access. I'll have that in the description below. And if you would like to see another type of worksheet being made or have any other questions about these tips, just let me know. I hope this was helpful and have fun making worksheets and manipulatives.